excellent. Well, here are some cucumber sandwiches. I made enough for everyone.
What's up, guys, gals, non-binary pals? My name is Cody Hansel, and welcome back to the Cody Hansel YouTube channel, where all my homies hate cucumber sandwiches. Today, we're going to be talking about Hilda, a show that I always describe as what would happen if you made Gravity Falls British and 50% less traumatizing. Please, no! And with Season 2 slated to be released sometime in 2020, it can't be much longer from now since 2020 is almost done, I figured it was about time I talked about it. It's one of my favorite shows. Hilda is a show about a young girl with blue hair who grew up in a cabin in the woods with her mom and her pet deer fox, whatever that is, and it's adapted from the original graphic novel Hildafolk by Pearson. The show itself is this Monster of the Week-esque comedy adventure, which it feels kind of hard calling it a Monster of the Week show since it's clearly built to be binged and is on Netflix, the single most bingeable thing on the planet. But along with Hilda and her mother, we also have a supporting cast of characters, including Hilda's two friends, David and Frida, as well as Alfred the Elf and Raven the Raven. But before we get into all these characters, first, I just kind of want to rave about the art and the animation. Mercury Filmworks is the animation studio behind the visually stunning work that is Hilda. Andy Cole was the art director for Season 1, helping to adapt Luke Pearson's graphic novel style into a style more friendly for animation. What's kind of fun is that the TV designs have kind of bled their ways back into the original graphic novel, so now the graphic novel looks like the TV show that didn't look anything like the graphic novel, while still maintaining the original themes and feeling of the graphic novel. But the style always looks smooth and clean, poppy and fresh. Even small details like the pupils, when they dart around the eyes, they had this satisfying motion blur on them. Except for David, who doesn't have whites in his eyes. His eyes are just like a line and the top and the bottom eyelid. And typically when you have like the whole line thing going on with the eyes, the character always looks like they're tired or asleep, or their eyes are always closed. David, instead, his lines are vertical, so you can tell there's eyes there still. But whenever they need to make his eyes do something funny, they just like dance and squiggle. They don't have the same movement, but it still looks really, really satisfying. I like it a lot. Hands down, my favorite thing from the show is the background work. I love the backgrounds in this show. They look phenomenal. I'd put them as a phone wallpaper or the desktop background any given day of the week, especially if you're one of those people who've been hopping on that cottagecore aesthetic lately. And a majority of the background work is accredited to Amanda Meyer and Ross Love. Now, it should go without saying, but especially more so in this show, I feel, there needs to be a lot of love thrown towards the effects team on this. Their work helps tie the foregrounds and the backgrounds together, and so many of the shots look so good with the effects put in. One of my favorite shots, just shot, is from episode 8 of Tide Mice. God, it looks so good. It's so cool. It's so dope. The show's overall mood is serene and inviting, warm and calming, while still being able to shift into that, kind of scary territory every once in a while. When characters are being chased by trolls or accosted by nightmare-inducing teenagers, the show still manages to keep that approachable and easy to watch visuals, while managing to invoke an uncomfortable aura at times. It's great, except for the Rat King. I hate the Rat King. He gives me extremely uncomfortable vibes. Moving on, the characters in the show are just as charming and heartwarming as the world is. Starting with the title character, Hilda, she's brave, brash, kind, a bit stern, clever, a self-titled adventurer who loved living in the woods and has to adapt to living in the city early in the series. She's the figurehead for the show's themes of understanding and protecting nature. Knowing more than most of the cast about the fantastical creatures in the world they live in, the gaps in her knowledge are typically filled by her mother, Joanna, or by Alfred the Elf, who moved with them to the city early on in the series after they had to leave. Quick tangent, Johanna might be the best mother in any animated series I've ever seen. She's always understanding and supportive of Hilda, despite the fact that she's also constantly worried for her. More often than not, she'll take her daughter's side when it comes to whether or not Hilda actually did something wrong, or if it's just a matter of perspective. This show is very good about not undercutting the intelligence of children. The children we follow in the show are 11 years old, and they're very intelligent. They're very smart. They're just naive. And people, you know, we need to stop confusing stupidity with naivety. They're two different things. And Johanna is the embodiment of that. She is the core of respecting children's intelligence and independence, especially her daughters. Moving on to the other two kids of the show, we have Frida and David, Hilda's best friends, classmates, and fellow Sparrow Scouts. Frida is intelligent, strong-willed, and kind of bossy at times, where David is cowardly, strangely talented at certain times, and very, very loyal. They often find themselves being dragged into one adventure or predicament by Hilda, or trying to be helped by Hilda and that going south. And their dynamic in season 1 is very, very strong, going through quite a bit together with all of the trials and tribulations of that coming to a head at episode 12. Speaking of episodes, let's just take a break and go back to the first one for just a moment. In the very first scene, we see Hilda and Twig exploring the wilderness, interacting with the water spirit, running with these dog cloud things called wafts, and eventually finding a troll. Noting that they can't be dangerous, Hilda ties a bell to the sleeping troll's nose, telling Twig and the audience that they can't be dangerous at night, but during the day they're harmless. If the troll does move, the bell will warn them. But eventually, time gets away from her, as it eventually gets away from everyone. And the chase begins. At the end of it, however, the troll doesn't attack her, but simply struggles trying to take the bell off. His arms can't reach. Hilda takes the bell off the troll, and then the troll leaves. At first glance, this just seems like Hilda's version of the thorn in the lion's paw, the story where the lion is roaring and scratching, and the kid takes the thorn out of its hand, out of its paw, and all of a sudden, it's great. It's not a big scary lion anymore. We misunderstood the lion, but there is one crucial difference. Hilda put the bell on the troll. The troll didn't find the bell. It didn't get stuck on the troll's nose. She did the smallest thing to protect herself, the right thing to keep herself safe, but it negatively affected an aspect of nature, an aspect of it that were shown after the fact likely wouldn't have hurt her in the first place. It was a misunderstanding. Where not every single episode is directly about protecting nature, it is one of the, if not the, most heavily ingrained theme in the show. From the Sparrow Scouts creed to the lengths Hilda will go to protect Jellybean, the big black dog, the preservation, education, and respect for nature, both in and out of suburban living, is consistently reiterated and built upon as this series goes on, but in a way that doesn't feel preachy. It's weaved into the very core of the show, and I only hope that they sow more of this in season 2. Chop chop, Netflix. Hilda is a visually stunning show with some solid writing, great characters, great designs, and whereas for an animated series, it's pretty light on the slapstick, it has some really good, dry British humor that I've really come to appreciate. If you haven't seen the show, please do. And once you have, come back to this video and leave a comment down below. Or if you want to talk to me live, come by twitch.tv/Cody_Hansel every Sunday at 4 p.m. where I host the Animation Talk Show. It's a talk show about animation. Stupid. I also play games over there from time to time, every now and again. If you want to help support me a little bit, maybe buy a shirt, maybe buy a mug. You know, it helps out. It really, really does. It's great. And if you have a friend who doesn't love Hilda, send them this video. I can be very persuasive. Be sure to follow me on all the socials down below, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Subscribe here on YouTube. Be sure to follow me on all my socials. They'll be linked down below. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching the video. And remember, all my homies hate cucumber sandwiches. Peace.